Good afternoon, guys. We're at Druid Hills Park today taking a walk. And I am on a brand new DJI Osmo camera, Pocket 3. We're testing this out, and I'm going to walk and talk with you today because Julie and I just watched a movie at the theater a few days ago. If you haven't seen it, you should certainly go see it. It is called Weapons. And so as we walk and talk on this bright sunny day, I'm going to very quickly tell you what I liked and what I didn't like about the movie, which is not a whole lot. I actually really enjoyed the movie. This is from the director of the Barbarian movie, if you've seen that. So Zach Cregger, that was his first movie directorial debut. It's an excellent movie. If you haven't seen that, you should certainly do yourself a favor. It's one of the best ones, at least in the last 10 years, in my opinion, that has come out. A lot of twists and turns, a lot of unexpected flips good guys and bad guys on their head, and I won't go into any spoiler alerts for that one, but that is certainly a movie that you should see. So, when I saw that this was done by the same director, I decided that I was going to watch the second movie. Julie enjoyed Barbarian as well, and so Julie was on board. We went with some friends the other night, and I think the first thing I should tell you is that it was extremely original. I think, and I agree, if you know, on this channel we are friends with Did You See That? And if you haven't seen his review of that movie, you should definitely go watch it. But I think I had the same initial thought that he had, which was we were expecting kind of a Barbarian 2.0, and that is not what this was. This was completely original writing. I do believe that the camera views and the angles and the motion that he uses was almost exactly the same. So when you're talking about a very gruesome scene, you're going to get a very long and extended and detailed and unwanted view of that. Almost to the point of comedy, where it is so overdone that you're waiting. You're actually getting a little bit nervous and waiting for someone to say cut, because I've seen enough of this. You know, you're pounding a face into the floor. There's only so much mush that you can continue to hear that makes you uncomfortable in the movie theater. But it stars Julia Garner and Josh Brolin. Those are the two main characters. And she is a teacher. If you haven't seen the preview yet, she's a teacher at an elementary school where one day she walks in. There's only one student in her class. 17 of her students up and left all at the same time in the middle of the night at 2:17 a.m. and were never seen from again. That's how the little girl, there's a girl that narrates the first half of this movie to tell you the comings and goings. And then a little bit of drama ensues, a little bit of hilarity ensues, a whole lot of horror ensues, and you come away at almost 2 hours with a movie, and there were 4 of us that went to this, but a movie that had quite a few talking points in it. And I don't think any of us knew exactly what it was and what it was going to be, but it ended up, for me, turning out to be something that was pretty spectacular. And I will tell you that you won't expect the ending. It is very Tarantino-like because it gives a character a chapter. So you see on the screen who we're going to go follow for this amount of time, and then we will cut back in time or forward in time, and we will see another supporting character and their storyline. They will all converge as you get to the end, and then, like I said, you kind of come away with it with quite a few talking points. But it was a very interesting movie to me. I think the Rotten Tomatoes reviews, which are in the high 80s, is a completely fair assessment. I will even tell you that I think it garnered a lot of emotion with the narration. They forced themselves, in some instances, when the girl was talking, that you had to lean forward because it was actually speaking slower than what the rest, oh sorry, not slower, it was speaking lower than what the rest of the soundtrack and the rest of the background noise was at. They were at different levels, so it was, I'm assuming on purpose, when the little girl was starting the story and to take you through what was going on. So, it's a very quick rundown, but I will tell you, I'd never seen Josh Brolin. He was an executive producer on this, in a movie quite like this. I liked Josh Brolin. I thought the acting was solid. There was a very, very small cast in this movie. However, it didn't feel wanting or lack of dialogue or missing pieces. I felt like that it flowed very well. Maybe a tad too long. It's difficult when you watch a horror movie, and I'm a super duper fan of horror, but when it starts to get long in the teeth, if you will, because you're waiting for it to come to some sort of resolution. I did feel that in the last few minutes, but then, like I said, it did a great job of wrapping it up. It was just wrapping it up to a little bit longer than what I had anticipated. I should have correctly assumed that he was going to do that because he did that on Barbarian. He did that the first time. Julie and I, that was one of the things that we came away with saying that, oh, that was a great movie. It's just a tad bit long. And maybe he does that on purpose. I'm assuming this is his second movie, so maybe this is one of his things, one of his calling cards. But I think for me overall, and Josh played a role of a father who had a missing child, to, again, take the children and use a good guy and a bad guy and then have it flip in the middle of the movie. I like when that happens. And then you take the second half of the movie and you try to start to figure out what's going to happen next. Thoroughly enjoy that. And so he set it up that way. And then overall, Z says, again, if you've watched his review, if you haven't, go watch that. Is it the horror movie of the year? And I haven't seen a ton this year. Of course, we're just now starting to get on the brink of spooky season, you know, when we hit September onward. But so far, it is one of the best movies that I have seen all year when you take all the components together. Again, some of it was purposefully overdone, some scenes. Some scenes were straight out of a gory horror movie from the 1980s. Some of it was really good dramatic scenes. Some of it we were laughing. So it was, and it was a solid soundtrack too. So overall, I think I would give that 4 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5 stars. That was a solid mid-90s. And I don't know what I would have necessarily improved upon to make it a 5-star. It just seems like we don't have any originality. So this was something fresh. But then again, you have to understand this was something fresh, but this was still an amalgam of things that had been done before. So that's why it's not a perfect movie for me. But that is also why it is higher ranked than a lot of the other horror movies, certainly that I've seen recently. And so that was a very quick rundown, but I wanted to also walk through this with you with this new camera and these new microphones. You can see we've got microphones as well. Again, it's the Osmo, the DJI minis, microphones that we decided that we were going to purchase together. And I wanted to see how this would do in some bright sunlight. Just kind of watched the setup tutorial and decided to pick it up and talk about the movie, since this was the last thing that was on my mind. I'm going to record some of these pollinators as I finish up, because again, this is all new. We've just had this a day or two, and like I said, it was never taken out of the box, so I don't actually know what kind of quality we're going to get. We're trying to compare it to, of course, the iPhone. The mics are the one big thing that we're hoping really improves. We're setting on 4K right now at 30 frames a second. I'm not going to go through a whole big tutorial and review on it. It was literally something that I thought, hey, this is the first video that we can film and see how it turns out. And since the channel has done more than what we expected it to do this year. We decided we'd make a little investment. We have some adventures coming up, and we think that this may change the way that we film. So I'm just out here playing around. I'm going to zoom a little bit. This does have a zoom on it. And kind of see where we go from there. I also really like the ability to take the camera and flip it immediately. I like that. I like the ability to do that. And now I see on here it says face track enabled, so I can turn any way that I want to turn and it will track me. And I hope you're not getting dizzy, because that's supposed to be a part of the appeal of this camera. But that's all. I just wanted to stop in and tell you very quickly my thoughts about weapons. I don't know if I even said the name. Weapons is what it's called, and that's exactly what these kiddos were made to be. So do yourself a favor. It's been in the movie theaters for a couple of weeks, but it's certainly a first watch, even a second watch, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I really like this director. Unfortunately, Bill Skarsgård was not in this one. He was in Barbarian. He was a great actor in that one. But Josh Brolin, Julia Garner, they were definite A+. So thank you guys. I hope you get used to this camera, because I'm trying to get used to it over the next several weeks and months. Have a great day. I'm going to go in and get cooled down. It's hot out here. I'll see you again in another one very soon.